What's good, EJ?
Hey, what's good, man?
Good. Welcome to the Art Sounds Familiar platform. The reason I actually invited you on this platform is because I believe you to be an amazing artist. And I feel that based on how far you've gone along in your journey, you would definitely be a valuable resource to people that are trying to follow a similar path, that are trying to be creative and kind of do their own thing. Before we start, I'll give you the floor to give a basic introduction to who you are, where you're from, and stuff like that.
Hey, thank you so much for having me on your show too. Especially, I don't want to say that I'm, all big and bad or whatever like that, but I'm trying and I'm grinding.
Right. Nah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, but my name's Elijah Prince. I'm an artist based in the DMV area, so DC, Maryland, Virginia area. That's going to be on the East Coast of America, of course.
Okay.
Pretty much I love figural work. I do all sorts of mediums, whether it be pen and ink, charcoal, graphite, watercolor, Copic marker, you name it, I'll probably do it or am planning to do it. I usually draw black women and animals, mainly.
Okay.
But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay. And what kind of led you to that aesthetic? Like growing up, like how did your art develop to where now you're specifically focused on the black woman and these animal figures and stuff?
Yeah, so when I was growing up, I really loved comic books. I just love them a lot. I still do actually. I'm making my own comic book right now. Shameless plug. It's called Waitlist. It's on everything you can think of. Tapas. What is it called? Webtoons and stuff like that.
Okay.
But I really love them. I love the aesthetic. And also my father was an artist or is an artist currently.
Okay.
And he does a lot of work with like linoleum cut, just all sorts of mediums and everything like that. So I was super inspired by him with all of his work.
Okay.
But I would always create comic books, create characters and stuff. I remember playing on the playground with my friends and such. And we just run around and pretend to be these like little characters and everything with superpowers. So that's how I got started with art. As I grew up, especially middle school, high school, and such like that, I would get into different art programs, and we focus on creating sort of different projects. The usual, just building up skill base and everything. And once I got into college, I started focusing more on the fine art side. I still love drawing comic books and drawing characters and such like that, but the fine art side kind of it got to me. Like I really loved. Um, I'm not sure. I think it's just the intensity of the amount of work that you put into one singular piece,
Okay.
as well as like you can see the final project or product and then move on to like another piece in that series, if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah.
And so after that, we started working on different projects. Brent, I know, like for the viewers and stuff like that, Brent and myself, we went to the same school. And we would work on these. We started in junior sim. So junior seminar is pretty much a course where you have to focus on making a series, essentially. So a series of different works and pieces and such. The series that I worked on for junior sim was called Blood, Blood. And each letter in that, pretty much the word, was analogous to a piece. And so it was birth, life, open, opposition, and then death. That's what each piece was called. And each piece was centered around a woman's life, pretty much from birth, and not just like a generalized woman, but a particular woman, pretty much telling the story of her life, where she went, all the things that she interacted with, her children, and then, subsequent death. And all of the power that goes into a single life and the ramifications and impact that that life has on other people. Um, and with that junior sim, we had to really delve deep into why we were doing it, being intentional on what we were doing, like the mark making, everything, just for the basic artwork and everything like that, but also just like the concepts behind it. And it really got me thinking about the art world in general and what we see. We see these major fine artists and everything like that, and they're doing great work, and we see all the masters and everything. But one thing that we don't really see is the Black experience. That's one thing that has always been undercurrent. We saw a lot of it during the Great Migration, everything like that. We see a lot of amazing work from amazing people, but that's maybe what 100 years out of the entirety of human history and everything. We focus on the American Black experience through artwork. So that was something that was really important to me and really crucial to me. Is to focus on that Black experience, as well as just to focus on the Black woman in general, because at the end of the day, one thing that's crucial for a society to function is men and women. We need people to essentially procreate to continue the next generation. And women are the only thing in a society that can continue that growth of the next generation, to have a child and to raise that child up, of course, with her, with the husband, with the man in that situation. But a woman is the only one who can actually nurture a child and let them grow in a particular way. I think that's really crucial and really important. And that's something that is super, like, people don't really think about it. And if we do think about it, we just toss it away.
Right.
So this is pretty much a long roundabout explanation to get to my main point, which is my work now is to highlight that aspect, the woman, the Black woman, what that means to me, what she means to me. And when I think of the Black woman, I think of my mother. When I think of the Black woman, I think of my grandmother, my sister, my friends. I think of those people who are incredibly crucial in my life that aren't really highlighted in media, aren't really highlighted in artwork. We're seeing a few, a little bits and pieces of focus, but we see a lot of fetishization. We see a lot of whatever with that, but we don't really see that, just the actual looking and really seeing where she's at.
Right.
So that's what I'm trying to get into, not to speak for her, but just to depict.
Right. And so I guess then it is your experiences that you've had, for instance, like with your family, that has propelled you into like this direction in art form.
Yes.
Okay.
Most definitely.
What would you say is the state of like the visual arts, fine art community right now? And how would you say you fit into that?
Yeah, one of the great things that I love about the time that we're in now with social media is essentially that everyone has their own personal gallery. Like whether you're in the fine arts, whether you're in comic books, whether you're in musical arts, whatever creative outlet that you have, you can create your own personal tailored platform for it. And so with social media, not only can you show your own gallery, but then you can also be connected with everybody else's gallery. And one thing I love about like Instagram or Facebook or TikTok or any of these apps is that you can get connected to people who have the same image as you. So it's like when I open up my Instagram, it's pretty much just all different types of artists who have the same sort of inclinations that I do, or even just different ones who just have completely just like abstract work. That's something that I never understood when I was a child, but now growing up and actually appreciating it and seeing exactly where people are coming from, it's just like abstract artists are just phenomenal. They're incredible. They encapsulate a moment or a feeling, and then they just put that on the page or on the canvas. So that is to say that with all of these personalized galleries that are out here on each of these social media platforms, it just leads itself to more creativity and more connection with these highly creative people. So I do definitely feel like my work fits in because you can see a whole bunch of different types of work. You can see a whole bunch of different types of artists. And there are so many people on this planet who are just incredible. So it just feels nice. So I definitely do. Okay. And I do feel like my work fits in with that. Okay. And I also feel that the sheer connectivity of social media makes it so that it's far easier to do it than any other time before.
Mhm.
I know learning about different artistry movements and everything like that. There was like the Dada movement to go against
Mhm.
all of the really strict rules and situations that artists would find themselves in
Yeah.
during that hyper realistic phase and everything of art. Um, but this is just another point in time where it's like things are actually open, and things are more free
Right.
for sure.
Right. Okay. No, that's a great point. Um, so I guess my next question is, what weaknesses do you see in yourself as you progressed in your art journey?
Yeah, major weaknesses, right? I think one thing is that I have a tendency to lose myself in my work,
Mhm.
meaning that I'll more often than not have taken care of myself. I'll probably just draw or create. And, in terms of creation, that's all fine and dandy. But in terms of actually living, it's not so great. So definitely drinking water, eating food. That's actually one of my shortcomings.
Mhm. That's
So
crazy.
it is crazy, but it's like it's true. And I think it just leads to having a passion and really loving to do something shouldn't come at the expense of who you are and your health and respecting yourself and respecting your body.
Hmm.
That's always been one of my own personal struggles, both in social and like literally just physically respecting my body and everything like that.
Yeah.
That's always been one of my issues.
Right.
So identifying that and moving forward, that is really, really crucial, especially for me in my own personal journey and my own art journey.
Right. No.
Um, Respecting my limits. I always like the idea, I was talking about comic books before, and there's always this trope in books where it's like the hero will pass their limits and get to the next,
Hmm.
you know what I'm talking about, like get
Hmm.
to the next level of superpower, or whatever. It's like people really don't work like that. Like you can
Hmm.
have determination and you can have motivation, and that's really super crucial and important. But just respecting yourself and treating yourself right is actually going to get you way farther than pushing yourself to crazy hours to do whatever, and then burning out later. Like you're just going to shorten your time on this planet,
Hmm.
which is already short regardless. So it's like definitely taking that time is something that's really crucial for me. Making sure that I'm getting the right proper sleep, making sure that I'm eating the right foods,
Hmm.
working out, doing those exercises, going on trips, going on walks, doing those things outside of my creative and expressive journey. I feel is something that has always been a shortcoming, but I'm actively working to get better at for
No.
sure.
Okay, that's an important point. I'm glad you say that because like you look at the times now and no sleep, all work, X, Y, and Z are like glorified, but it's like comes at an expense when you do that.
Mm.
When you start operating in the just because I want to reach my goals, I'm going to neglect everything else about who I am and about my health. So I'm definitely glad you raised that point. So I watched like the Joe Budden podcast. I don't know if you watch it at all.
Mm.
Um, but there was one of the hosts made a comment, and one of the comments they made was that an artist just can't be an artist. And when he said that directed more towards like recording artists, just because they feel like, okay, in some regards, your work can't just speak for itself. There's other things you have to do to bring your ideas, your concepts, and your product to the forefront. What's your take on that?
An artist can't just be an artist. So I have two particular viewpoints on that. One
Mm-hmm.
that confirms the statement and the other that kind of refutes it.
Uh huh.
Um, so to confirm it, I do agree, right? An artist can't just be an artist if we're talking about it from the standpoint that to be successful or to be um I guess it's like to be independent, you
Mm-hmm.
can't just be an artist. You have to do certain things to fulfill a quota, which is your rent, which is your livelihood. So you do have to meet certain criteria, meaning you have to be a business person as well as being an artist to be successful or to eat, essentially. You have to have other skills other than just being able to draw really well or paint really well or sing really well. You have to be able to connect with other people. You have to make networks. You have to build in a certain way that will house your creativity. You can't just have your stuff out in the open and out in the elements. You have to build a foundation for yourself in that way. If we take it from that context, my other point of view from it, which is kind of to refute it, which would be like, no, you can just be an artist, but you have to take it for what being an artist is. Being an artist specifically is, by nature of the word artist, you just create. You are a creator. You do things. You create your work. You build something. You sing something. You make it, and you can do that. But you have to accept all of the consequences, good and bad, that come with it. And one of those things would be the shortcoming of being flippant or creating just to create. And you'll lose something with that. You'll lose money, you'll lose time, you'll lose whatever. You will lose something with that creation. Although this can be counterbalanced with just having a good network. Let's say that you are an artist. That's what you want to do through and through. You don't want to work on marketing. You don't want to work on networking. I mean, networking to an extreme degree. You don't want to do editing. You just want to create your work. But other people are good at those aspects that you don't want to do. So if you connect with those people, then you can build a platform that way by virtue of having good, solid people on your team.
Leverage your resources.
Yeah, good resources. But of course, that consequence being, if you have a pot, you got to split it, like that sort of thing. But it's, to me, that's neither here nor there. It's up to the person. What do they want, you know?
Okay, right.
And it's like, I'm guessing you're saying that Joe Budden, because I've watched a few of his podcasts and stuff like that. He's mainly centered on musical art and musical artistry. And I did watch a podcast just recently, or at least a clip, where he was talking about the challenges of being a musical artist in today's age and the pros and cons that come with it. One of the pros being, this is the absolute best time for any independent artist to be heard by everybody, because we have Spotify, because we have YouTube, because we have all of these different apps and social media accounts that can literally transfer all that information. But this is also one of the worst times to actually make money with that, because the amount of consumers that actually want or are willing to pay for that, like music, is just at an all-time low.
And it's flooded.
YouTube
flooded with artists.
Yeah, like literally, you have YouTube. You can click the play button. You don't have to pay a dime. You don't even have to hit the like or subscribe. You just play it, love the song, love it to death, watch it a million times,
never buy
but
it.
You don't pay a dime.
Right.
So with that, it's more challenging. I think it's a little bit more challenging than to just be an artist in a fine artsy sort of setting, where it's like the idea is to procure this art. The idea is, oh, I'm creating something, and if you like it, you're gonna put it in your house, like that sort of thing. That's the idea. Versus music, people now think about it in a more flippant, like, oh well, it's here, I love it, but it's not worth anything. Like that's the idea, which of course we know is untrue. There's a falsehood to that, but still. There's a lot of ways to break that down. I think I could go on, but
I think the two approaches and two perspectives of looking at it are definitely like great points to make.
Like, comment, and subscribe for more content like this.